Hello and welcome to the Artful Maestro Podcast. I'm your host, Nenad Leonart, and today we're going to dive into the question of how on earth Corona actually saved my life. Yeah, you heard right. How actually, by getting infected with COVID-19, I managed to basically save my life. Well, today's episode is all about that. It's kind of a revamp of the Artful Maestro podcast that started back in 2023. And now, as you can see, there's a little bit of a new setup, or as you can hear. And we are going to dive into this today just by trying to see what's at the base of all of what I'm doing, of what I believe today to be important, and of where this is going to go. Before we dive in, a short mention of the sponsor, which is the Artful Shop. The Artful Shop is a shop where you can buy everything music related. You get to go and have some really cool merchandise. You get to go and, if you're an organist, get a few cool sample sets from Sonus Paradisi. Don't let this opportunity go to waste. And if you use the code ARTFUL5, you get an actual 5% off of your order. So go and visit the Artful Shop right now. It's just artful.shop. ARTFUL.shop. See you there. Now, how actually did I manage to come to the conclusion that COVID basically saved my life? When the pandemic started, I was in a very good place, I would say. So this was March 2020. I just came back from a month in New Zealand. I came home. I had a couple concerts where I played, where I have been conducting a choir. It was all a great success. And there was this thing in the back of my mind, of everyone's mind. And I thought like, okay, that's like the same swine flu or SARS thing like we had back in the day. It's nothing really serious. People are just panicking and it will blow over pretty soon. Well, as we all know, it did not blow over pretty soon. However, at that point, when they did the lockdown and when they canceled everything, I felt a huge sense of relief. I felt like, wow, this is gifted time. This is time that I can go and spend on so many projects that I wanted to do, so many things that I was planning to get into that I never really had a time. And then I remember these first days, it was March, they closed everything down. I just went out into my garden. I brought a couple beers with me. This was morning. And then I would just start enjoying the weather, reading. I was trying to do some basso continuo realizations, I think, but then I got bored pretty fast. Then I went for a walk and it was beautiful. Like I was out in my t-shirt in March, which was not really usual for that time. Anyway, I did that and I did it for like a week or two before things started to get really boring. And then I started to do a couple other projects because it was evident that this is going to take a long time, and so I could plan and develop some new ideas, which were pretty great and I think successful in their own rights. And I said I was in a very good place because before that I was traveling. I started getting more serious about my spiritual development. Basically, what I thought at that point was more trying to find out about myself, trying to find out about my past, maybe. And I had this really interesting feeling where I kind of uncovered certain truths out of my family history just by meditating, I guess. So this was at the other end of the world. I was traveling for a month in New Zealand, and I really tried to meditate almost every day. I was reading a book by Neil Strauss that was called The Truth. That was actually confronting me a little bit with who I am and why I am the way that I am. So also meeting interesting people, also talking to them, it all created this concoction where I started to be really interested in who I am, in what I do, and why I am the way that I am, like the actual deeper stuff. But then also, I came back. This COVID stuff started. I did not smoke at that point for over half a year. And then I restarted smoking again because, I don't know, I felt like doing it. Actually, I do know. Oh my God. Okay, well, I do know. It kind of slid into, I was hanging out with an artist friend of mine, and she was kind of smoking a lot, and I just always went out to give her some company when she was smoking. And then at one point, when I was drinking a little bit much on the evening, I was like, hey, can I have like one cigarette? I like really want one. And then I had like one, and then I had a second one because it wasn't as huge a deal to have a second one. So then I had a second one, and then the next evening as well. Well, I had one yesterday, right? So I might as well start another one. And before I knew it, I was smoking again. And so, the pandemic started. I was at home. I had my drinks with me. I had the ability to smoke, and kind of pulled through everything. I know that a lot of other friends of mine, like musicians, people who were sensitive, people who were intelligent, they had oftentimes like a really bad time during COVID, and I felt invincible. I felt like, this is who I am. This is just perfect for me, not having to see as many people, not being as involved in the things that are going on. This is really cool. Yeah. And it turned out it wasn't cool for one big reason. It wasn't sustainable. I overexerted myself, obviously, doing too many projects. I did not watch out for my health. So I stopped going to the gym. Obviously, the gym was closed. But then also I didn't do enough other sports because I just filled the time with different things, right? And mainly it was a unhealthy habit of not eating well, not eating regularly, not eating good food. It was an unhealthy habit of, well, let's say smoking, unhealthy habit of not sleeping enough, an unhealthy habit of drinking occasionally. And I managed to go by like that. I really managed for a long time. And then I continued doing so up until the point where we had a CD recording with my Celtic trio. I remember that. And my girlfriend did contract COVID, I think 2 days before we were finished. She got infected, and I got really scared that maybe I will also have an infection and not be able to finish the CD recording, which took, I think, 3 or 4 or 5 days in total. So I was really, really scared. Oh shit, what is going to happen? And I managed to actually finish the whole recording without having an infection, and we would have also had a concert at the end of the week. I went back home, and then after 1 day, I felt all the symptoms creeping on, and I felt like a huge tiredness, and I was, okay, there's no way that I can do the concert this week. So I canceled. I let my friends do the concert themselves without me. And I stayed at home and watched a lot of series, tried to take care of my girlfriend who was really feeling unwell, cooking, cleaning, and so on. And at the end of the week, I remember having like a weird feeling in my legs because I was cooking. And we actually went out to the garden to eat later to enjoy the weather. But I remember when, or actually while cooking, I had this excruciating pain in my hips and my legs, like just the joints. And I felt like I was standing too long or using my bones too long. I don't know. So what I did was, well, nothing. I just continued. And every day it got kind of worse. I stayed at home. I was lying down. I felt very tired. I had to sleep 12 hours. And then after that, I had to sleep like 14 hours a day and never really got better. Just got worse. But like the other symptoms went away. I didn't have headaches anymore. I didn't have any cough or fever or something like that. I actually didn't have any cough from the begin with, just a little bit of a sore throat. And that was really, really weird. Really weird. Again, this was like at the end of the pandemic in 2022. And yeah, really weird because just my body wouldn't do the things that it was supposed to do. It didn't have the energy. It didn't have the fire, like the motivation, the inspiration to go out and do things. And you could say, well, that sounds like a burnout. Sure. It does sound like a burnout. However, I did have an immense pain in my joints everywhere. Like my bones felt really, really old or hurting. And very soon I felt completely like an 80-year-old man, like really just tired all the time, not really able to move. I tried to go for walks because I used to be a person that went for a lot of walks. And turns out, if your bones hurt and your joints hurt, that's not a really good idea. It was almost unbearable after 2 or 3 hours. So I did go back home after trying that a couple hours, and I kind of had no more explanations what this is. It was 2 months after I got infected. I still was not really feeling better. I tried to do the stuff that I was supposed to, but I couldn't, so I canceled almost everything, except for a few services which were actually needed for me to survive financially. But there was no motivation to do anything outside of that. There was no I had no power, I had no energy. So basically, yeah, that's what this story was. And I really felt hopeless. I really felt like I was letting myself down. I was letting everybody else down. I was not going to be able to live the life that I wanted. And I was not going to be able to do anything that I dreamt of doing that I felt like was meaningful, because I was just at the point where I couldn't bear to be with myself, just because of all the pain that I was feeling in my body that I did not want to feel. And at one point, I told to myself that I will not accept this. that I will, I guess, try out whatever it takes to change this circumstance, because I really, really do not accept to live like that. And the first thing that I did was actually just say to myself, you know what? Why don't you just try not smoking? Just do a test. Like, don't smoke for a week and see if you get better. And I mean, if you get better, is good. And if you don't get better, well, you can start smoking again. Like, just do it for a week, see what happens. So I did it for a week, and I saw what happened. I actually did feel better. I felt much better after 2 or 3 days already. So I was like, okay, that's cool. And basically, I have not jumped off that break ever since. So that's 2.5 years now, yeah, that I'm on a break. Very shortly afterwards, I actually got COVID again. I think this was another variant. So that was like half a year later, during summer. And then something else happened. Like, I didn't have these symptoms. They were getting better and better. Actually, there was something in between that I forgot. Yeah. But like the second time that I got it, it completely went onto my stomach and like my digestive system, because I got like another bacteria infection at the same time. So I get COVID and an infection, and it took like, I don't know, half a year for my digestion to stabilize. So during that half year, I was very much paying attention to what I eat, when I eat, how much, how healthy or not healthy it is. So that's also a thing that changed. And the other thing that changed was because I was not going to the gym. I was not being able to take a walk, right? Because of all the pains. I said, well, what if I tried to sit on a bike, right? What if I just tried to go cycling a little bit? And I did that, and I actually felt much, much better. And because of the sitting, I didn't have the pressure on my joints, so that was much better. Okay. So basically what I did was sit down on the bike every day for at least an hour. I live in a place where it's really beautiful to go cycling out there. It's like a nature reservate, and it's around a lake. Like, there's a track for cycling that you can cycle around the lake. So I had also nature that inspired me to do that, and that kind of pulled me out of my misery that I had back there. So I actually went ahead and started doing that, which was pretty cool, because after a couple months, I already did, I don't know, over 1,000 kilometers. And a couple more months, I did even more. So at this point, I'm doing a couple thousand kilometers per year, only by cycling. First, it was I want to cycle every day. So that was the first thing I did when I got up in the morning. And now it's whenever I can go somewhere by bike, I'm going to do that. So if I go to the places where I work, if I go to like my workplace, it's roughly an hour by bike from here. So I go every day, do that. If I have to go into town, I go by bike. Like, any excuse I can find to go anywhere and cycle, I'll do it. And so I stopped smoking. I actually changed my diet. I started exercising regularly. And then something interesting happened. I was not able to drink alcohol anymore. It just changed from one day to the next. I remember going out with my brother because he finished his studies and going out celebrating. And before that, I was with a friend at a dinner, and I think I had like a little bit of liquor at dinner, and then I had like one Guinness beer ale with my brother, and I got this extremely excruciating headache. It was really, really bad. Just like 15 or 30 minutes after drinking that last beer, that I said, you know what, I think I have to stop. Like something's wrong here. And it took me maybe 2 or 3 more trials after that with alcohol to realize something's wrong in my body. Like I'm getting into this toxic reactions, and I have no idea why. Like it's really troublesome. I get headaches, like a hangover, but I would get it 15 to 30 minutes after having the drink. So basically, I also couldn't drink anymore. So I stopped doing that, which means, and I guess like my tiredness was forcing me to sleep more. So I started sleeping enough. I stopped drinking, stopped smoking. I was a lot out in nature. I was exercising regularly. I was paying attention to my diet. And that's all because of COVID. And I still had these pains in my body from time to time. Like it got much better, but they were still there. So in order to eliminate the residue of like the last pieces that I had, what I did then was, okay, let's try different kinds of therapies. Like medicine obviously failed. So let's try and see what else I can do. So I did traditional Chinese medicine, like with acupuncture and stuff, which I felt this was pretty good in my case. Like it helped me also with my posture. It helped me with many other things as well. I also did do a massage therapy just because of the tension that I would have sometimes in my body from being too long in bed, from sleeping too long, or from just trying to deregulate the pain that I was feeling. So the massage therapy actually helped a lot. And I also started going to a woman that I worked with a couple times that was also in the spiritual realms. And basically she was doing like body work, energy work. I don't get exactly what she's doing, but that helped me a lot. And at that point, by also diving a little deeper into this topic, I realized that the pains that I have aren't necessarily a reaction of the body to a virus or to an illness, but that the virus or illness did trigger something in my body that was already there. So it wasn't something new. And this was a huge one for me to get to understand that if certain things in my psyche got different, if they got better, my pain in my body actually got better. And that was really interesting for me to see, like for the first time in my life, that there was this direct psyche and body correlation. I mean, I kind of knew that there was there, but here it was directly palpable that my pains, because I resolved certain things, would minimize by 50% or 30% or something like that. So I gained a lot of quality of life. And realizing that, I was, okay, what mechanism is here at play? What's going on? And then I started researching. I started finding out about this stuff. And I got a link about a professor that was teaching this kind of stuff, like how trauma actually can translate through several generations, that this is also genetical, and that this can affect even people who have not had certain kind of trauma in their life, but they have kind of inherited it from their parents or their grandparents or their great-great-great-grandparents. I don't know, it's a couple generations back. And apparently there's several reasons for this. You have, on the one hand, epigenetics, and there's been very interesting research being done on worms, I guess, like how you can teach worms certain things that they kind of save in their genes, and they can inherit this thing that they learned to their offspring through the genes. This is very interesting. I don't remember how these worms are called, but it's been in the Huberman lab. They've been talking about it, and I found it to be particularly interesting because it seems that for humans, very similar things going on. And then there's also another thing that's kind of being handed down from generation to generation, like the transgenerational trauma. And it's because usually parents who are traumatized in some way, they are not able to be fully there for their children. So the children, to have this sense of shared oneness with their parents, they would oftentimes start sharing the same trauma as the parents. So it would be a mental process that maybe isn't necessarily just inherited genetically, but that the kids would actually try to take on the trauma of their parents as well, so they become, in a way, similar. And then there's like feeling of nearness, feeling of being together, being similar. So that was a very interesting thing for me to find out, and also to find out that certain other members in my family that had COVID did have the same symptoms as I did. So that was a huge aha. So maybe that's not just genetical, but if I can change the relationship to my trauma, and this changes my pains in my body, does that mean that I have inherited trauma like from somebody out of my family, that also like my relatives have the same symptoms? Very, very interesting question. I really do hope that science will be able to answer it in the near future. I feel like there's a huge potential to find out like what all we are getting from our family. That's like also the bad stuff, and not just the predisposition to illnesses and stuff like that, but actually psychological stuff, trauma, heavy things, things that nobody talks about and that needs to be dealt with. So once I got that, and that improved my quality of life, I wanted more, which is, I guess, understandable. So I started diving deeper into this. I started also living more and more healthy. Like, it's really been a journey these past 2.5 years. And in this journey, I can actually pretty confidently say that, actually COVID saved my life. Because if I did not get that infection back then in March 22, if I didn't get that, then I probably wouldn't have stopped smoking, probably wouldn't have stopped drinking, probably wouldn't have started regularly exercising, and my life would be actually much worse. I mean, I wouldn't have started to confront myself with my childhood trauma, with the things that I've been through, with stuff that's been in my family for generations, for several generations. And I mean, again, I don't know where I would be today if I didn't have this one, well, maybe stupid infection, but I learned so much through this adversity that, I don't know, I can't really explain it into words how even thankful I am for that experience, even though it was utterly unpleasant. And oftentimes I felt like, why me? Like, why is this happening to me? I also felt a lot of shame of not being able to work, not being able to provide the same level of energy, presence, everything where I am. And I mean, it was really hard talking about that. I also noticed when I was talking to other people about this, there was be like this, oh, and I could tell like some people, they were not really believing me, like that stuff's real. And a couple other people, they were like, okay, so there's this really bad thing happening to that person over there, and I have no idea how they feel, and I cannot relate. And it's just like I'm helpless in that relationship. So I stopped talking about that altogether up until, I think in the last couple of months, I started opening up about that again. It wasn't just a shame that I couldn't deliver the things that I wanted to do. It was also a fear, like a professional fear. What if people find out that I'm actually not as good? Like that I cannot do the same things that I used to do. Am I going to get like less engagements? Am I going to get not asked for playing concerts, for doing gigs, whatever it is? I felt like really I need to hide all that stuff. And it's better that nobody knows. A couple of friends of mine, they actually noticed, like I dropped a lot of things, and I'd also talked to them, so they knew. But like for the general public, I feel like this year is the first year where I kind of really, I guess, came back permanently, like in a way where I don't overexert myself, where my state of being is sustainable, where I have worked on myself on so many different levels so much that I can continue doing this for a very long time. I actually feel younger now than I felt before I got COVID, which is actually crazy. I feel 7 years younger, I told in the last couple months. So I feel younger now than I felt 4 years ago, just because of the changes in my lifestyle and the changes of how I am dealing with myself and my own psyche. And this is going to be also one of the main points that I am happy to talk to you in the future about, what actually the potential is of us humans if we tap into this hidden part of the psyche that we don't really have learned anything about. There's still very few people actually doing work on this in a meaningful and sustainable way. I mean, there's a lot of people with solutions. I tried a lot of solutions, and very few of them really work. So, having said that, you probably want to find the solutions to work for you, and probably these are the ones where you get at the problem head on instead of trying to go around it or, sugarcoat it, like not go directly into it. Every other way is not going to be sustainable in the long run. I mean, that's been my experience, and that's been the experience of the people that I learned from and worked with, that I can actually tell are really, really, really fulfilled individuals. And I'm very happy and grateful to be in their company, and I'm very happy and grateful to learn from them. And I really do hope that, having been through what I've been through, that I can help a lot of people maybe not necessarily have to go through the same kind of pain, but to realize that certain things like our physical side, which is sleep, which is nutrition, which is how we exercise, how we move our body, but also like the emotional side, our relationships to other people, our relationship to ourselves, and also the mental side, just by constantly learning, trying to develop, trying to create, trying to be of value to the world. If we get to do all these things, then we can be much more fulfilled as humans, and that we can actually help others reach the same. Okay, so this was a long ride. Thanks for bearing with me. It was kind of nice to just reminisce about everything that's been going on for the past few years, and I feel like I've come a long way, and I hope that you feel, in some sense, that you've come a long way in your life as well. And I also hope that I can be of any kind of service to you. So whatever you feel like your challenge is at the moment, if you have a goal, if you have something that you want to reach and you're not sure how to get there, or you're not sure who can help you get there, just shoot me a message. You can find my contact online. I read through each and every message that people send me. I cannot always reply because obviously there are certain obligations in life that are non-negotiable. However, I'm really happy to help as many people as I can. And if you feel like you would like some help, or that you have a challenge, or that you could benefit from just having a opinion on your issue or whatever, just really do shoot me a message, and I'm very happy to help you in that regard. Having said that, thanks for listening in. Do go check out the Artful Shop if you are a musician or you want to gift something fancy to a musician. That's going to be your place to go to. And take care, and see you in the next one.